Now at 5 and streaming on CrossroadsToday.com, a local woman says a rural road is falling apart. What she's seen after decades living on J2 Ranch Road. Citizens Medical Center is growing, but at a cost. We're tracking how hospital leaders plan to stay afloat while cutting spending without cutting care. And a DeWitt County judge announces his retirement, why he's ready to step away after years in office.
We've been looking hard for a couple of little clouds out there, see if there's any rain, but chances are real slim right about now. We'll talk about your weekend forecast coming up in a moment.
Plus, Ghislaine Maxwell is quietly moved to a Texas prison. What's behind the transfer and why it's raising new concerns. You're watching 25 News now at 5. Good afternoon. Thanks for being with us. I'm Don Brubaker. Shauna Curry is on assignment. A local resident is having problems commuting on J2 Ranch Road. Longtime resident Neldine Matusevich says she's been living on that road for more than 40 years and someone needs to fix the road. She fears the heavy trucks are causing damage to the road and is concerned the drivers are going to damage their own vehicles.
And just don't even want to come out there, say your road is so bad. That's sort of not very pleasant to hear. I want the road fixed. I want it paved.
In a statement released, Victoria County Precinct 4 Commissioner Kenneth Saxton says his crew's constantly patching and repairing to keep up the best they can with the damage. He also says he's planning to replace cross pipes on the road not this week but the following week. Here's your viewer poll today. The question is, how responsible are trucking companies for local road damage? Full responsibility? Partial responsibility? Little or no responsibility? Well, so far, now that middle number changed a little bit, but still overwhelmingly our voters saying 79% say trucking companies have partial responsibility for local road damage. We thank you for voting. We want to hear from you. Visit crossroadstoday.com/vote to take part, and we'll have the latest results at 6. The City of Victoria is upgrading Pine Street Park at 802 East Pine Street. The project includes a larger shaded play area with rubber surfacing and accessible features like a ADA transfer station. The basketball court will be renovated, soccer goals replaced, and new backstops added. Construction starts August 4th and finishes in September. The park will stay open during work. This upgrade follows improvements at Brownson and the Ted B. Reed parks, with more projects planned for Meadow Lane and Children's Park. Contact Victoria Parks and Recreation for details. A dog is in quarantine after biting a woman who was out walking her own dog Thursday morning on John Stockbauer. Animal Care Services says a small terrier mix got into a scuffle with the woman's dog and bit her on the arm when she tried to break it up. The bite was minor and she was treated and released. The terrier's owner was cited and the dog is now spending 10 days in quarantine at a vet clinic. After more than a decade of public service, DeWitt County Judge Daryl Fowler officially announced that he will not seek a 6th term in office. The longtime judge had stated in recent months that he was considering stepping down. First elected in 2011, Fowler guided the county through the challenges of the Eagle Ford shale oil boom, implementing policies that strengthen both infrastructure and long-term financial health. We're continuing our coverage of Citizens Medical Center's finances as the hospital expands. The hospital's had a loss of operating income the last 3 years, but in 2 of those years, it made up the difference with COVID-19 relief funds, interest income, asset sales, and donations. Another big hit was the sale of 4 nursing homes they partnered with under a state quality care program. That alone cut about $2 million a year in income. With pandemic funding gone and costs still high, leaders there say they're tightening spending, renegotiating contracts, and finding smarter ways to save without cutting care. Let's go to Mac Pettis with the first look at the forecast. The big question, Mac, is not how hot it was. Did we get to 100 degrees today?
I'm sorry to tell you, Don, that we didn't quite make it. You know, we just got to that 99 again. Maybe the thermometer stuck at 99. I don't know, but we didn't quite make it to 100 degrees, although it certainly did feel like it. Late this afternoon, we have a few little pop-up showers right here along Highway 59 going north up toward Edna. And that's about the extent of it. Otherwise, it's going to be a hot, steamy weekend. We'll be taking a look at that. And of course, we'll look at the tropics to see if anything's moving out there. All that coming up in just a moment. Don, back to you.
Mac, thank you. Texas lawmakers voted unanimously to advance Senate Bill 15, which seeks to prevent the use of fraudulent deeds to sell someone else's property or take out loans. To read this full Texas Tribune article, visit our website, crossroadstoday.com. The Bureau of Prisons announced it moved Ghislaine Maxwell from a federal minimum security prison in Florida to a federal prison camp in Texas. Maxwell is serving a 20-year sentence for child sex trafficking and other offenses in connection with Jeffrey Epstein. The family of one of the victims who testified in the case is now telling ABC News in an emotional interview the possibility of a pardon for Maxwell would be an injustice. Here's ABC's Pierre Thomas with the details.
Ghislaine Maxwell, the convicted sex trafficker and longtime associate of Jeffrey Epstein, has been moved from a federal prison in Florida to one in Texas. Officials with the Bureau of Prisons saying Maxwell is now at federal prison camp Bryan in Bryan, Texas, a minimum security camp for women. The reason for the move has not been made clear. Her attorney had no comment. Just last week, Maxwell met with Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche. Maxwell's attorney says the two discussed about 100 names associated with Epstein, though the Justice Department has not disclosed anything about that meeting. The transfer comes as Maxwell's attorneys press the Supreme Court to overturn her conviction, while also appealing to Congress to push for a pardon so she can, quote, testify openly and honestly about Epstein. The family of Virginia Giuffre telling ABC News they're shocked about talks of a pardon.
I think, it would be an injustice to not only my sister, but it would be an injustice to all the survivors out there.
Giuffre claimed she was approached at Mar-a-Lago in 2000 by Maxwell, who then sex trafficked her to Epstein. Giuffre died by suicide earlier this year. The president this week claimed that Jeffrey Epstein, quote, stole young women who worked at his Mar-a-Lago resort, including Giuffre.
I think she worked at the spa. I think so. I think that was one of the people, yeah. He stole her.
The words of being stolen as if she was an object, that's really painful to hear as a family.
Giuffre's family calling Maxwell a monster and a predator, saying she deserves to rot in prison for the rest of her life.
My daughter is 11 years old. How do I look her in the eye and tell her? How do I tell her that we're not willing to stand behind women and children that have been abused?
Maxwell has always denied Giuffre's accusations. Michelle Franzen, ABC News, New York.
Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click the notification bell. Then you can see Crossroads Today on YouTube. And stay with us straight ahead on 25 News Now at 5. President Trump fires the Bureau of Labor Statistics Commissioner, why the move is raising concerns across Washington. Also ahead, the start of school brings COVID-19 uncertainty, why a new vaccine guidance is leaving many Americans feeling unsure.
Here's a look at what you can expect on Community Crossroads. We hear from the City of Victoria, the Salvation Army of Victoria, the Food Bank of the Golden Crescent, and Port Lavaca Main Street.
It's the first play that I've ever directed before. I've acted in plays pretty much my whole life, but it's just the first play I've directed in, and it's been a learning curve.
President Trump fired the commissioner of the Bureau of Labor Statistics. The agency is in charge of the jobs report. It comes after a weak jobs report was released today, causing the stock market to tumble. ABC's Perry Russum is in Washington.
President Trump today firing the commissioner of the Bureau of Labor Statistics after the release of a weak jobs report. 73,000 jobs added in June. That number worse than expected, showing a major hiring slowdown in recent months. Trump pointing to the fact that the commissioner, Erica McEnteffer, was appointed by former President Biden. She was overwhelmingly approved in the Senate. Trump, without evidence, accusing McEnteffer of faking statistics. There was also a major revision today to the jobs report from May and June. Government numbers show 258,000 fewer jobs were created than previously reported.
The revisions were obviously they're not what we want to see.
The stock market dropping today. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer slamming Trump's economic policies.
It is disturbing to say, but the chickens are coming home to roost on Donald Trump's destructive trade war, and the American people are paying the price.
It comes on tariff deadline day for countries to make a deal with the United States. Trump signing a new executive order raising tariffs on nearly 70 countries. The tariffs go into effect next Thursday. All countries now face a tariff of at least 10%.
We expect things to get materially stronger from here now that our policies are starting to sort into place.
Outrage last night at a town hall for Republican Congressman Brian Stile.
I am going to be totally opposed to these tariffs, period.
The congressman booed and heckled for his support of Trump's tariffs.
How do we get other countries to treat the United States fairly so our farmers can
President Trump today once again attacking Fed Chair Jerome Powell for not lowering interest rates. Trump calling Powell a moron, saying the Fed's board should assume control. Perry Russum, ABC News, Washington.
Now taking a look behind the menu at local food establishment inspection reports. Inspectors found issues at 4 Crossroads eateries. The Barn in Victoria had 36 demerits. 7-Eleven in the 6400 block of FM 236 in Victoria had 23 demerits. The Donut Palace in Yorktown had 24 demerits, and the Corner Stop in Yoakum had 16 demerits. 9 eateries in Victoria received a perfect score. Those include Domino's Pizza on North Navarro, Sam's Club, Shadows Bar, Sonic on Navarro, the Wellhead Tavern Grill Commissary, TNT Restaurant, Velo Farms, Walmart Supercenter on North Navarro, and Whataburger at 4302 North Navarro. It's World Lung Cancer Day, and this year alone, the American Cancer Society estimates there will be nearly 125,000 deaths in the U.S. from this disease. And while awareness and screenings have helped to decrease the number of new lung cancer cases and deaths, there's still a lot of work to be done. In today's Health Minute, Mandy Gaither has 5 things to know about this disease.
In recent decades, the U.S. has made strides in the fight against lung cancer, but the disease continues to be the #1 cause of cancer deaths in the country.
Whenever I discuss it to patients or to the community, they're always shocked by it. They're like, I thought it was breast cancer. I thought it was colorectal, because they always get the attention.
Dr. Panagi Scalia-Santos with the American Lung Association says that's why continued awareness is key in continuing the decline in lung cancer deaths. The first thing to know, anyone can get the disease, not only people who have a history of smoking.
While tobacco use still may be the #1 cause of preventable cause of lung cancer, the smoking rates in the United States have fallen drastically, but lung cancer incidence has not.
Next, while it's still the deadliest cancer, the survival rate for lung cancer has increased by 26% the past 5 years. Third, lung cancer screening is available, but only about 16% of those eligible are getting screened. Fourth, if you or a loved one is diagnosed with lung cancer, get the tumor tested for biomarkers. It can help determine the best treatment for you. And finally, disparities remain. The State of Lung Cancer report shows people of color are less likely to be diagnosed with lung cancer early when it's more treatable. They're also less likely to be alive 5 years after diagnosis and more likely to go without treatment.
What I will plead with any individual is, if you have smoked in your lifetime, talk to your doctor. and he or she can discuss if it makes sense to screen you.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
In 2021, the U.S. Preventive Services Task Force updated its lung cancer screening recommendations, lowering the minimum age to 50 years old and reduced the minimum smoking history to 20 pack years. The changes aim to capture a larger population of people at higher risk for lung cancer. August is here and school is starting in some parts of the country, raising questions about COVID-19. Recent changes to federal vaccine guidance have left many Americans confused. A new poll found most U.S. adults don't plan to get a COVID-19 shot this fall, and some are worried about costs and insurance coverage. Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. says the shot is no longer recommended for healthy children or pregnant women, but only 37% say they trust him on vaccines. Meanwhile, experts say this summer's COVID-19 wave is starting late and remains relatively mild. A big community celebration in Beeville is helping students get ready to head back to school. The Back to School Bash is happening tomorrow from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. at Coastal Bend College. Students can grab free backpacks and school supplies, plus enjoy food trucks, vendors, and special guests. It's all happening at the James R. Doherty Student Union Building, thanks to Telemundo Victoria, Coastal Bend College, and the city of Beeville.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. 96 degrees. Yes, another warm, steamy day. If you were outdoors, you know what I'm talking about. We managed to get up to a high of 99. No, we didn't make the 100, but that was our high today. We had 3 little showers that rolled around the area. I don't know if you saw them, but if you're in Edna, you have a good shot at that. We'll take a look at your weekend forecast coming up after this. Well, good afternoon, everybody. It's just going to be a long, hot summer. There's not a whole lot of change in sight. Actually, there was to the north. Here's what I'm talking about. See this stationary front? This is part of the end of the big heat wave that was going on in the rest of the country. We're still on the hot side, but that little frontal system, although it's not a cold front, it is a drier line, and it is triggering some shower activity up and down the line. You can see it right about there. So it's helping out, you know, places like St. Louis and places like Ohio. Those places are finally cooling down. What about us? Well, we are not going to be so lucky, and there's the one little shower that you saw right about there along I-59 right there. There's Edna, you can see that, and headed on up toward Wharton. Just a few little afternoon showers that popped. We've been watching for the last couple of days some very nice moisture rolling in from Louisiana into East Texas. They got some of that activity today in East Texas, but we didn't get any of it past that area down into the crossroads. So we'll sort of give up on Louisiana. Now, to the north, there's that little front. Now, it's not a huge cold front, but it is a destabilizing line, and we're picking up a line of showers from Waco all the way down to Austin and out to the hill country. These are triggered by afternoon heating and, of course, the front, but they shouldn't last much longer, so I don't expect any kind of flooding problems out of this. I wished I could pull them down here and give you some of it, but I'm not that good. I'm really not that good. There you see the heat wave that still continues for parts of the east, and there's of course the shower activity in the central part of the country. The big heat wave has finally ended. You can see everything's all the way down here with that front. So what you see up there is cooler temperatures, but with a northerly wind, places like Illinois, Minnesota, they're choking on the smoke coming in from the forest fires in Canada, of all things. We are going to be looking at a very hot, steamy weekend. You know, if you got a pool, great. If you don't, go visit somebody with a pool, because the heat index tomorrow on Saturday is 108. If you're going to be outdoors, middle part of the day is tough, and next week we are basically staying where we're at. We'll likely see another morning of that morning fog because the moisture is really staying close to the ground. So tomorrow morning, Saturday morning, believe it or not, we'll have a little fog early, getting down to half-mile visibility in some spots. But as you saw this week, right about 9 o'clock, it all burns off very rapidly as the hot air descends down from below, or from above rather. There's Future Tracker. We start off this evening, Friday, and tell me what you see here. You're going to see nothing on Saturday at 11 a.m. But watch this, on Saturday afternoon, here's 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, you're going to see some showers with that frontal system dropping down into our region. So here we are, Saturday afternoon. How about that? So there's your 30–40% chance for tomorrow afternoon, and then it drifts by as the front falls apart, and I don't think we'll see any of that on Sunday. So let's take a look at your day planner. This is for your Saturday in Port Lavaca. Again, we expect most of the day to be good, but by late in the day, you may see a few isolated showers around the area, otherwise getting up to 96. And in Cuero, you're getting up to 97, and your chances are even less than getting the rain that we saw in Port Lavaca. And here we go, that 30% for Saturday. Sunday, a lot more sun. We'll still see on the warm side next week. No real changes as we stay with our temperatures well above the upper 90s, as you see right about there. Have a great weekend. That's your forecast. Reminding everybody we do have a QR code. Love for you to scan that, put Crossroads Today on your phone. And here's Don.
All right, thank you so much, Mac. And coming up on 25 News Now at 5, changes are coming to student loan forgiveness. Now, new rules could affect millions using the SAVE plan and what it means for your payments if you have some. Stocks tumbled today. The Dow shed 542 points, which is its biggest single-day drop in over a month. The S&P 500 and the NASDAQ also posted their biggest single-day losses since May and April, respectively. Oil is down $2 to $67.33. Employment opportunities are not as plentiful as they used to be. The U.S. added 73,000 jobs in July, the Labor Department reports, resulting in the unemployment rate rising 1/10 of a point to 4.2%. Friday's report confirms what many economists had forecast, a slowdown in employment openings caused by weak hiring numbers in a majority of industries. Data from May and June's payrolls were also revised down by 258,000 jobs. Starting today, millions of student loan borrowers will start accruing interest again on their loans. The change is coming after the Department of Education last week stopped the cancellation of student loans in income-based repayment plans. Lee Waldman reporting from New York City. She tells us what this means for the everyday borrower.
If you have a student loan under the Saving on a Valuable Education or SAVE plan, you don't necessarily have to start making payments this month, but you will start to see the debt you owe grow.
Attention student loan borrowers enrolled in the SAVE plan. On August 1st, the Department of Education will resume charging interest on your loans.
The SAVE plan, introduced under former President Joe Biden's administration, lowers monthly payments and shortens the time it takes to receive student loan forgiveness based on enrollees' income. Now that plan and the 8 million or so borrowers who utilized it are in for some changes.
This plan has been tied up in litigation, and the Trump administration decided, without ever being enforced by a court, to start interest charges for those borrowers.
Last year, federal judges in Kansas and Missouri blocked key parts of the SAVE plan. Following those courts' decisions, SAVE borrowers were placed in no-interest forbearance, with payments paused and balances frozen since last summer. Today, interest will start to accrue again.
Once payments start, we expect they're going to pay about $5,000 more per year, including those interest charges, once they actually have to start making payments.
Mike Pierce, head of the Student Borrower Protection Center, says deciding what to do next is up to individuals, starting payments now or continue with forbearance. But either way, their balances will increase, causing stress for borrowers like medical resident Bronte Rumsick.
I've spent my entire 20s in school, and so now in my 30s and as a young professional, I would love to have a life. The financial walls just feel like they're crushing down around me when I thought graduating medical school was the big win.
As a part of the One Big Beautiful Bill, the Trump administration included a new income-based repayment assistance plan in its domestic policy bill. It'll be available for borrowers starting next July 1st. In New York, I'm Lee Waldman.
The reduction in demand for COVID-19 vaccines is hitting Moderna. The company says it plans to cut 10% of its global workforce by the end of the year. That will leave it with fewer than 5,000 employees. Moderna specializes in mRNA vaccines. The company's RSV vaccine is expected to get regulatory approval later this month. It would be the first mRNA vaccine approved for something other than COVID-19. Moderna has seen its stock drop more than 20% this year. Competing COVID-19 vaccine manufacturer Pfizer also had a drop this year, though. Pfizer only lost about 12%. Also, Pfizer is a much more diversified pharmaceutical company. When parking turns pricey, we're going to give you a look after the break how a quick trip to the hospital led to a shocking parking charge.
Tonight, Ghislaine Maxwell, the surprise move to a Texas prison. Plus, President Trump's sweeping tariffs, some set to start in 7 days. Who will be affected most, and what impact will it have on the economy? World News Tonight with David Muir is the most watched newscast in America.
Is out of control. The price of parking is, one California woman was charged more than $7,800 to park at Glendale Memorial Hospital.
How long was she there?
She was only there for 45 minutes, Mac. What? So obviously it was a mistake.
Right.
The message said she entered the lot 3 years ago, and a human attendant was no help. Kate Daniels says the attendant accused her of parking there for weeks. The right people finally got involved, Parking Company of America and the hospital both apologized for the mistake and issued a refund because they finally figured out that no one would park in a parking lot for 3 years. And if they knew someone who did, they would probably go to the local TV station and go, here's your top story.
Yeah. Well, it happened to be, I was in downtown LA and I parked the car and I sort of dilly-dallied and the bill was $80 to get out of the parking lot.
In Los Angeles? I believe that. I do believe that in LA.
Downtown LA. So you got to be careful. When you said 7,800, going, that's reasonable. Well, folks, unreasonable heat will be with us right on through the weekend. We made it to 99 today, and we probably won't make 100 tomorrow because we do have a glimmer of a hope of a chance of getting a few little showers in the afternoon hours. That's on Saturday. Less chance on Sunday, and just hot and steamy for early next week because now we're in actually August. So think about this, folks. We got 30 days to go before this is all over.
Well, now let's see. Now
30 days and a half.
Well, fall starts what, September 20th?
September 20th, yes.
So officially, and you know it stays hot for another 3 weeks after that.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking Thanksgiving.
That's a good forecast.
That's a good forecast. All right. Thank you, Mike. And thanks for being with us. Our next newscast is in 30 minutes after World News Now with David Muir.